Oh, we had some audio issues. Can you guys hear me now? Okay, we're perfect. Hey, we're live. We're live, brother. You guys seen that? Where it's like Jim Ross interviewing Psycho Sid Vicious of WWF, and was interviewing him, and then he was cutting a promo, and then Sid Vicious said, dang it, I messed up. Let me try that again. No, we're live, brother. That's what Jim Ross said. We're live. And you just saw that right there. The audio was not on. This is authentic. This is real. This is genuine. This kind of coverage you cannot get anywhere else. Well, my name is Hassan Khan, the host of the show, and instead of watching a boring 3-hour show on NFL Network, why not join us as we try our best to recap the whole 2021 NFL schedule? I mean, it's going to be a great show. What we've got planned for you guys here is we're going to recap week to week, look at the primetime games as well. We can already tell you that before the show went on, we just got news that Tom Brady is going to Foxborough week 4. Primetime. That's right, baby. Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus New England Patriots. The GOAT returns home. Let's see if he can pull off the victory. We'll finally figure out the answer. Is it Belichick or Brady that's been responsible for their Super Bowl? Right now, it's in the favor of Brady, but we'll see on week 4 what happens. But the NFL schedule release show will also be filled with surprise teams and letdown teams as well. We're going to have our buddy Shaun Landry join us on this show live to give us his 3 teams that are surprise teams based on the strength of schedule and their schedule that they have, but also some teams that could be letdowns in 2021. Listen, we're live, so I have the chat pulled up on the side, so make sure you guys are interacting with us as we are premiering the show. Chatting with us. I'm going to be giving you guys shout-outs on air as you guys are chatting, so make sure you guys interact with us so that we can have the ability to interact with you guys as well. But what we're doing right now is we're waiting for the NFL to drop their schedule. Currently, we're on NFL.com, kind of keeping tabs on that and seeing if they are anywhere near releasing that schedule. We're on the website. Let's go ahead and refresh this and see if they dropped it. I mean, they said 8 o'clock. So let's see if they can drop this. Okay, right now, no games for this week have been posted. Please check back soon. Cool. Awesome. Kind of late. That's okay. We've got Torre Passetti saying, go Niners. Listen, the Niners could be on a roll this NFL season, because also on the show, what we've got planned is a schedule simulation. We put all these games into a computer. We simulated all of the games. I'm gonna already say that the Niners, based off the simulation, have a better record this season as compared to last season. So make sure you guys stick around for the end of the show for that simulation. Then we've got Rob Navarro saying, hello, ! Rob, hello to you as well. Thanks for joining us. But as we are waiting for the NFL to drop their schedule, we're going to go ahead and show you guys the strength of schedule for these teams. So this has been released. This has been released for a very long time. People know the NFL opponents for 2-3 years in advance. Okay, it's based off of multiple divisions alternating between which division is going to face which other division. And right now, let me show you the strength of schedule as we were waiting on the exact dates, that is. So right now, let me pull this up. Okay, cool. We got this pulled up. Strength of schedule. Let me go ahead and blow this up a little bit so you guys can see. As you can see, the number one hardest team that has it in 2021, based off the strength of schedule of 2020, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Steelers were in a little bit of a rough patch. If you guys remember, it was back in towards the end of 2020 where they just went on this stretch where they just lost 3 out of the last 4 games, and they were eliminated out of the playoffs as well. So, I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers kind of have it rough with the strength of schedule just because they did so well that they have to face good teams this season. Then following that, the Ravens, Bears, Packers, and Vikings top off the top 5. Now, let's see who's got the easiest of these schedules, because this is pretty interesting right here. The Philadelphia Eagles have the easiest. You see the winning percentage of the 2020 opponents, or that they faced in 2021 out of their 2020 record, is only 4.3%. The Cowboys, second easiest. The Falcons, third easiest. Buccaneers, it's kind of unfair. Come on. The Buccaneers, really? They won the Super Bowl. Their team is already stacked. Now they're going to have the 4th easiest schedule. Hey, it is what it is. And then the Fifth, tied for the fifth easiest schedule is going to be the Broncos and the Dolphins as well. So those are your strength of schedules right there. We've got Brazil Bread saying, can Cam succeed with New England? I mean, Brazil, listen, Mac Jones is in town. We wanted to bring our friend Larry on this show to kind of recap the New England Patriots and Mac Jones because he's a big New England Patriots fan. Wasn't able to join us for this week, but that's okay. But I think Cam has a shot with all the weapons that they have in New England now. With Mac Jones under center, I think they might have a better shot, dare I say. So we'll see. Let's see if the NFL has released this yet. Okay, they still have not released this yet. That's perfectly fine. While we are waiting, what we can also look at is week 1 of the 2021 season because that was already released. So let's go ahead and show you guys that. I'm going to go ahead and blow this up for you guys to see. The primetime game, opening it up. The Cowboys versus the Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football. The Super Bowl champions always open up in their stadium. And right now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be hosting the Dallas Cowboys September 9th. That is going to be the start of the season. Then you got some pretty good games, some afternoon games going on. A lot of them being division games as well. But some key matchups that we really wanted to hone in right here. The Browns versus the Chiefs. This is going to be an afternoon game, and that's on purpose on September 12th, that Sunday, the first Sunday of the NFL season, just because you remember the playoff game from last year where Chad Henne had his heroics just really paying off and leading the Chiefs to that victory over the Cleveland Browns, and they were able to advance and eventually make it to the Super Bowl. So the Browns have another shot at getting back the Chiefs, getting revenge, and they face them 425. Now, some other cool games I want to mention. The Packers and Saints, obviously, with Drew Brees retiring, what is going to be the outlook of the Saints with Jameis Winston at quarterback? We're going to have to see with them opening up in the Superdome, it seems like. But that seems to be Fox's America's Game of the Week. By the way, Fox, their America's Game of the Week that they always want to call it. I mean, call it what you want, America's Game of the Week. We all know that half those games involve the Dallas Cowboys. I'm just saying, even though if they don't do well that season, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman just love the Dallas Cowboys, and so does Fox. And for some reason, they're the game of the week. I don't understand why. Sorry if you're a Cowboys fan that's watching right now, but dude, what's up with that? But Brazil, what are you saying? I would rather have Kaepernick. I had to take a double take. I would rather have Kaepernick play linebacker than Tebow as tight end. Okay, so when I was reading that did not make much sense to me, but now it makes a lot of sense. Okay, understandable. People have their opinions on Tim Tebow. A lot of people are saying that he may not even make the final 53-man roster. It could happen. Torrey, will the 49ers make the playoffs in 2021? Stay tuned for our schedule simulation because, we're going to go through all 17 games for every NFL team, and then we're going to give you the playoffs and simulate that and the Super Bowl. So we're going to give you an eventual 2021, a rough draft, by the way, rough draft of the 2021 Super Bowl winner. So stay tuned for that. Go Rams, excited that football is getting closer. Rob, you and I both. Let's go back to this schedule that we have. So this Monday night game that is scheduled for this week 1 opener is going to be the Ravens versus Raiders. They like to play on the West Coast. It's kind of funny because they usually do a doubleheader where one is played on 7 o'clock that Monday, and then later on, 10:15 p.m., they have a West Coast team like the Las Vegas Raiders. Excuse me if I call them Oakland. Sorry. That's how I remember them. But it seems like the Raiders, they're only going to have one Monday night game this year, and we're not going to have Rex Ryan and then Beth, who was the other commentator calling that one game where the commentary got the lowest ratings, I believe, on Monday Night Football history. But Sunday Night Football, it's kind of weird not having the Cowboys and the Giants opening up week 1. Kind of strange, but the Rams and the Bears are going to be playing on Sunday Night Football to open up week 1. Then we've got a little bit more games. Now you see down here the October 10th game and the October 17th game. These are two back-to-back games that are going to be played in London. That's right. COVID-19 is no longer a thing. It kind of is, but they're going to be traveling to London, and the Atlanta Falcons are going to be the supposed home team, as well as the Jacksonville Jaguars. They've been playing a lot of games in London, the Jaguars have. And the Falcons are going to be hosting Zach Wilson and the Jets. The Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence in London going to be hosting Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. And be on the lookout for those times as well. 9:30 a.m. because for you guys that play fantasy football, I know sometimes you can wake up early on a Sunday and just forget about it, or maybe you just wake up late and you didn't even realize the game was going on. But yeah, keep that in mind. Two London games going on, and then like we mentioned, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be playing the New England Patriots this upcoming season in Week 4. That's going to be a great game. Let's go ahead one more time before we move on with our buddy Shaun Landry and have him join our show. Let's see if they have released this so far. Right now, I am not getting anything. Maybe if I Google NFL schedule, possibly. I don't know. But as you guys are saying, Shaun actually is joining us in chat. He's going to be joining us live in just a sec. Saints will be ready for Week 1. Rodgers or no Rodgers, it won't make a difference. Who dat? Ooh, the Packers are in some deep trouble right now. Looking at their schedule and the strength of schedule that we were talking about, if they don't have Aaron Rodgers, oh, it's going to be tough. It really is. Rob, love your start and sit videos throughout the season. That they help you out in our quick LOL. Appreciate it. That's what I like to do. Just get you guys the information, get out of there. Don't have to stick around for a whole another hour. Same with the show. You have to stick around for 3 hours. This is only going to be about an hour long. And then Brazil said, side note, your advice to pick up James Robinson last year helped me with my fantasy league. Well done, sir. Hey, well done to you for killing your fantasy football league. I'm going to go ahead and take the initiative right now because it has gotten a little bit off topic right now because we wanted to recap week to week the NFL schedule. But right now, I don't believe we have the chance to do that. So what we're going to do right now is bring on our buddy Shaun Landry. Let me go ahead and get this thing going. As right now, we've got the NFL schedule surprise teams and letdowns. That's what Shaun Landry is going to be talking about. Let's see if we can get him going right here. Oh, Shaun, there's your beautiful face. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful. Listen, we wanted to recap the NFL schedule before we got you on. Just go week to week recap just real quick. Have you had the opportunity to see it posted anywhere else? Because on NFL.com's website, the schedule hasn't been posted. Have you seen it anywhere else?
I haven't really seen it anywhere else. NFL.com was the first that I've noticed the schedule being released, but I haven't really seen it anywhere else. CBS Sports, ESPN, of course, ESPN. I'm watching the schedule live as we speak, so muted obviously in the background. But no, I think NFL's Network's the only one I've ever seen it posted so far this evening.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll recap that once we have the opportunity. But we wanted to bring you on because we want to give your the opportunity for you to give your insight because last week we talked about you being a big Saints fan, talking about the New Orleans Saints and recapping their whole entire NFL draft. But this week we want to look at the whole broad perspective of the NFL and really pick your brain on some teams that could really surprise us based off of the strength of schedule, but then also some teams that could be a little bit of a disappointment. So
yeah,
let's first start off with some teams that could surprise us this season.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me back. I really enjoyed being on your show last week. I love the interaction that you're getting on YouTube. I mean, it's the comments, that questions, the suggestions. It's really overall it's pretty good. So we'll start with my first surprise team. I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins. Their strength of schedule, if you notice, is tied for 27th. Obviously you got Tua Tagovailoa coming back in year 2. They won 10 games last year. Obviously, they were shy of making the playoffs, but you go out in the draft, you draft Jalen Waddle. That defense is opportunistic. And then you just look at a lot of their home games. We've learned throughout the history that playing at home it means a lot. And you got some teams that play well on the road, but having that home field advantage, especially this year with the fans coming back, it makes a tremendous difference in a team's preparation. So, I did a little homework myself. So you look at their home opponents. You've got obviously your in division opponents, but you got the Falcons, the Ravens, the Panthers, Texans, the Colts, the Giants. These are some good games that I think they can easily win at home. And then you look at your road games. Obviously, they come to our house in the Superdome, but then they got to go on the road to Tampa Bay. They got to go on the road to Vegas, and then obviously play their conference opponents also in division as well. So, and obviously week one, they go up to New England. New England's kind of had a down year last year. First time they haven't had Tom Brady. This year, is it going to be Mac Jones? Is it going to be Cam Newton, as you alluded earlier? Who's going to get that nod? I agree with you. I feel like Mac Jones is going to get that start in week one. So if they can start off this year with a win at New England, and then go through the rest of their schedule, take care of the guys that they need to take care of. I mean, Miami could be a sneaky team at the end of the year, getting into the postseason. And, we talk about Buffalo and the success they had last year. Don't be surprised if Miami ends up winning the division this year.
Wow. And what's actually not a surprise is that you talking about the Miami Dolphins, just because we've said on the show multiple times over and over again that I love what Brian Flores and the Miami Dolphins have been doing this whole entire time of just whether it be moving up, then moving back down in the NFL draft, getting the right pieces in, building that offense for Tua Tagovailoa by signing Will Fuller and getting Jalen Waddle as well. So I like the pick. The Miami Dolphins could surprise us. And I mean, last year, they kind of surprised us, going 10-6, barely missing the playoffs.
Yeah.
This year, who knows what could happen?
Yeah, you definitely could see it happening for sure.
Yeah, and it could. And there could be many more surprise teams as well. Who's second on your list?
So second on my list, I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts. Right now, they're currently tied with the Bills for the 23rd, toughest schedule. Again, this offseason, obviously the big free agent acquisition was Carson Wentz. We'll see how he does now that he is in a new system, a new area, familiarity with his old offensive coordinator, now head coach, and Frank Reich. And then again, you look at their home opponents. Again, we're talking about the interdivisional opponents, but you got the Raiders, the Rams, the Patriots, Jets, Seahawks, Bucks, all at home. Those are easily winnable games at home, and especially with having fans this year, that's going to make a difference for Indianapolis. And then obviously on the road, at Arizona, at Baltimore, at Buffalo, at Miami, at San Francisco, those are also winnable games. These are, the Arizona, Baltimore, Buffalo might be a little bit of a challenge, but you could see them easily, especially with a 17-game schedule, you could easily see them be 10-7 this year. Maybe 11-6, perhaps, and that's going on a stretch because the AFC is South, especially this year. I think it's going to be a little bit down. I think it's Indianapolis's for the taking, especially you don't know what's going to happen in Houston with Deshaun Watson. Obviously, Tennessee is, they changed offensive coordinators. Now Arthur Smith is now the head coach in Atlanta, so you're having to see a little bit of a change there. And then Jacksonville, how about the drama going on in Jacksonville with Tebow and Meyer and basically I saw today that there's, the organization is 50-50 on whether or not this is a good move for the organization, bringing Tebow in. So this could very well be, again, just like earlier we touched on Miami possibly winning the East. I could see Indianapolis definitely winning the South this year based upon the way the other conference opponents are probably going to have an up and down type of year.
Hey, I like it a lot. Indianapolis doesn't get enough credit as it is just because, you wouldn't even think if you're a casual NFL fan that they made the NFL playoffs last year with Phillip Rivers. Yeah. Now with a younger quarterback in Carson Wentz, we'll see.
And they're still going to do the same thing. They're going to run the football. They're going to continue. They've got young guys at running back. They've got young guys at receiver. I mean, it's going to take the pressure off Carson tremendously. I think the stage was too big for him in Philadelphia. And now that he gets a fresh start and he actually gets playmakers around him, something that was obviously missing last year in Philly, I think Carson will slowly start to find that 20-17 MVP-like form he had prior to going down with an ACL tear.
Hey, it could happen. Donning a new number 2, and going back with his offensive coordinator, Frank Reich, the Indianapolis Colts, your second surprise team. You got one more surprise team. Who's that?
So the one more surprise team I got, and they're actually I'm already going to crown them AFC North champions this year. How about the Cleveland Browns?
Mm.
They have the ninth toughest schedule. Obviously they're going to be loaded on defense this year. You go out and get Jadeveon Clowney. You go out and get, I think it's Troy Hill from the Rams. And then obviously you have some youth, Myles Garrett's going to be back. Then you bring Grant Delpit, Greedy Williams, who were hurt last year. You have that youth. And then on offense, Baker Mayfield, we saw a couple days ago whether or not should the Browns pull the trigger on Aaron Rodgers, but they came out publicly and said, hey, Baker Mayfield's our guy. And then you add a healthy OBJ, you got Nick Chubb, you just got endless weapons. And so I see, again, the Bengals are still trying to find their footing. Obviously, Joe Burrow in his second year. The Ravens are kind of night and day. As you saw it, Lamar's first year, they took off. Last year, I feel like they took a step back. So they're night and day. I feel like the Browns right now are in the best position possible. And then how about week one? Going to Kansas City. I tell you what, if they can knock off Kansas City week one, I would not be surprised if you see Kansas City, Cleveland in the AFC Championship next January, and we could potentially be talking about Cleveland being in the Super Bowl. I know that's a long stretch, and I know that's a far reach, and I know Brownie fans everywhere would love to hear that and see it happening. But believe you me, I feel like Cleveland is loaded this year, and I feel like they're more determined than ever, especially since they got a small taste of it this past postseason. I would not be surprised to see them back in the playoffs, potentially further than the divisional round.
I freaking love it. Like the Cleveland Browns are just so underrated. And I
Yeah.
think this is, if you are a Browns fan, I know, like you said, those Browning fans, it's okay. You can get excited just because of
Mm-hmm.
the offense. Like this is what we envisioned would happen that one year that Freddie Kitchens was there. And unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
that just didn't work out. But now that Kevin Stefanski comes in, the Browns could do a lot of damage. Offense, defense, you name it.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and trust me, I'm kind of a little bit of a homer. I would like to see the Bengals win the division this year, obviously, because of my boy Joe. But man, I love what Cleveland is doing. And I feel like Cleveland fans have been starving for a championship. You got to go all the way back to what Bernie Kosar to feel that type of success. And so just imagine, Cleveland being in the AFC Championship game next January, and then say they end up winning that, and then they're in the Super Bowl. Can you believe how madly eruptive the city of Cleveland would be to see their Brownies in the Super Bowl?
It would be a sight to see, definitely for sure. I'm flying out to Cleveland if that's the case. And I'm not a Browns fan, but that would be a cool moment to
Yeah.
experience. However, we have to talk about on the opposite side of the spectrum. Unfortunately, there are some teams that do well in the prior season, and then the upcoming season kind of lists down.
Mhm.
Who's first on your list of teams that could disappoint us in 2021?
So I know they just re-signed their franchise quarterback and long term, but I'm going to start with the Dallas Cowboys. And I know every year the Dallas Cowboys are always hyped for success every year. They got Dak Prescott, they got CeeDee Lamb, they got, of course, we can't forget about Ezekiel Elliott. They went defense in the draft. They drafted your old head coach and Dan Quinn to coach the defense. They brought over Keanu Neal. But you look at their schedule. I mean, shoot, week one, you go to the world champions. You can't tell me that they are not going to go in there and knock off Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. I don't think so. And then you look at the NFC South, or not they well, they also play Atlanta, but they also get us. They get the Panthers as well. But then you look at the Broncos, you look at the Raiders at home, and then you got to go to Kansas City, to the Chargers, to the Vikings, to the Patriots. And with the 31st toughest schedule, that was kind of a joke. I was like, they have all these home and away opponents, but yet they have what they rank them as the weakest strength of schedule. That's a gauntlet to go to Minnesota, New England, Tampa, New Orleans, Kansas City. They could be very well back in the 500 range, sub 500 in a division that's already kind of topsy turvy in the NFC least. But I just don't see them really, taking a step forward this year, especially, even though Dak Prescott, as great as he is, it's a gauntlet to try to beat teams like that and try to be one of the top contenders in the NFC.
Yeah, man, interesting stuff because the Dallas Cowboys the Cowboys fans are just waiting for Dak Prescott to get healthy and
Mm-hmm.
by the looks of practice and him training and everything, he's fully ready to go. And they're just like, yeah, that's the one thing that we're holding on to that could get us over the hill and over the hump. It get us back to glory.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but you're saying they're a disappointing team based off the strength of schedule or the away games at least that they have. The
Yeah.
Dallas Cowboys, I agree with you, could disappoint just based off of the games that they have on the road. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say your next disappointing team is?
So the next disappointing team is the team that, gosh, we've been hearing about every single day since the draft, and that is the Green Bay Packers. They have the fourth toughest schedule, but obviously you got all the drama right now surrounding the diva that is Aaron Rodgers. Not only do you have your own in-division opponents in the NFC North, but you've got the Browns, the Rams, Steelers, Seahawks, and Washington at home. They obviously come to our house week one. I'm looking forward to it. Rodgers or no Rodgers, it makes no difference to me. So I'm very much glad that we're America's game of the week instead of the Dallas Cowboys. It's kind of nice not to hear Troy and can't forget the Joe Buck's name. Good Lord. But their away games are the Cardinals, Ravens, Bengals, Chiefs, Saints, and Niners. I just feel like Green Bay, everything that's going on with Aaron Rodgers, I think is really, affecting the team and everything that's surrounding it. We hear it every single day. We turn on Sports Center, you turn on, FS1, no matter what sports channel you turn on, you're hearing something about Aaron Rodgers. And I feel like he's a distraction. It really is right now. Call it what you will. He's a distraction to the team. And I think Matt LaFleur, if they have to start week one at New Orleans with Jordan Love, it could be a very tough, long year for the Green Bay Packers and their fans. More specifically, Matt LaFleur. Randy McMichael touched based on it last week. He said, if Matt LaFleur is going to have to start the year without Aaron Rodgers for the first time in 2 years, he's going to have to actually coach for a living. Because they kind of felt like Matt LaFleur really hasn't done coaching the last 2 years. It's been all Aaron Rodgers. But, if he's got to start week one in New Orleans with Jordan Love, I mean, it's going to be a very long season for Packers and the Packers fan base as well.
Yeah, I hate to say it. I mean, it's all depending on, what happens to Rodgers. Is it the distraction aspect of it that's going to let this team down, whether he plays or he doesn't play? And we obviously know that if he doesn't play, then this Packers team is going to look like a much different team, and they're definitely going to have to work some pieces around and move some roster pieces and really, like you said, Matt LaFleur has to coach for the first time, which is an interesting statement, but could also be very true. So now you've got the Cowboys, the Packers as your disappointing teams. You got one more. Who is it?
So the last one I got for you, believe it or not, I mean, they're already bad as it is. They too have been starving to get back to the championship since 2017. How about the Jacksonville Jaguars? They currently have the 18th toughest schedule, but it's not so much the opponents. I can name you the opponents. At home, obviously they're interdivisional opponents, but you got the Falcons, Cardinals, Bills, Broncos, Dolphins, Niners, all at home, and then on the road at Cincy, at the Rams, Patriots, Jets, Seahawks. And then they start week one at Houston. But again, the same thing that's happening in Jacksonville, or rather what's happening in Green Bay, is happening in Jacksonville. We talked about it earlier, with the Colts winning the South because the AFC South is so up and down, because obviously right now everything surrounding Jacksonville with the drama of Tim Tebow is also a distraction to that organization. It's a distraction to the locker room. You go out and you draft the top player in the NFL draft and Trevor Lawrence, to be the face of your franchise. Well, it's kind of hard to be the face of your franchise if everything right now is about Tim Tebow. And Jaguars fans are striving for a winning franchise. I mean, you haven't had a successful Jaguars franchise since Mark Brunell, way back in the early 90s. Jaguars fans have been starving for a championship. They've been starving for a winning team. And it's kind of hard to do that right now. The opponents are not too bad, and the schedule sets up quite favorably for them. But first-year head coach, rookie quarterback, and then obviously you're thinking about bringing on a 33, now 34-year-old tight end or quarterback that's fixing to play tight end. It causes a lot of distractions for that team. And so I just don't see Jacksonville really moving in the right direction. As of right now, I feel like they're moving backwards rather than they are forward.
Yeah, I hate to say it. I think this could be the first time that Trevor Lawrence loses a regular season game in his whole entire life. I mean, that's pretty much a given. But let's see what happens with Tim Tebow. Now it was pretty much a guaranteed deal. Now, like you said, it's 50-50. Let's see if it happens or not. But to recap, surprise teams. You've got the Colts, the Browns, and then was it the Dolphins? And then
Dolphins.
your disappointing teams are the Cowboys, the Jaguars. Help me out here.
It's the Diva Roger Green Bay Packers.
Oh, yeah, hey, I wanted you to help me out with the whole entire statement, whole adjective to add in there. So those are your surprise teams and your disappointing teams, courtesy of Shaun Landry. Shaun, we appreciate you joining us. Always a pleasure. Can't wait to have you back on in future episodes.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much for having me.
And that was Shaun Landry, ladies and gentlemen, joining us for this episode of Time to Football. The schedule release show on this episode of Time to Football will continue on. And I just got a notification in my email from the NFL saying that they just officially released the NFL schedule. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we've been waiting for. Week to week, we really want to look at primetime games specifically because that's when it really matters the most. Sunday Night Football, hearing that theme, ooh, you got to love it. So let's see what the NFL schedule is. If we pull it up right here. By the way, continue to interact with us throughout this whole entire live show. I know that we haven't had a comment since Brazil chimed in with us, giving us praise for our fantasy football advice, which subscribe to this channel for more fantasy football advice throughout the NFL season. But we're going to have to pull this schedule up real quick. By the way, comment below if you believe that what Shaun Landry was saying about the surprise teams and the disappointing teams is true, or do you disagree with him? Do you feel like that there is more teams that could be surprises and disappointments as well? Like I said, in this episode, we're going to have a schedule simulation, giving you guys up-to-dates on all of the computer simulated games. We took every game that's going on this NFL season, simulated it based off the odds. I'm going to explain that later on in the show. And then we have an eventual Super Bowl winner that we're going to reveal to you at the end of the show. It might catch you guys by surprise on who the Super Bowl winner is. Heads up, it's not the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm sorry, Jaguars fans. It's going to be a little bit, it's going to be a while before anything were to happen with the Jacksonville Jaguars and their success. But let's take a look at the NFL schedule right here. I got it pulled up. Let's see what we got. Can we blow this up right here? All right, NFL schedule reaction right here. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you guys so you guys can read along with me. Oh, not going to make it any bigger. That's fine. So we already recapped week one. Now we want to look at the primetime game specifically. Washington football team, Thursday Night Football hosting the New York Giants. Is that going to be Ryan Fitzpatrick that's going to be starting for that team? Some pretty good games that you got going on right here. A lot of division games, just by the looks of it. You got the AFC East playing all division games right here. But then the Chiefs and the Ravens seem like they always go back and forth in primetime games as well. That's going to be a very, very good matchup on that Sunday Night Football matchup. And then Monday Night Football, we've got an NFC North matchup, the Lions and the Packers. Hey, listen, remember the last time when the Lions and the Packers were playing on Monday Night Football, there was that Trey Flowers alleged hold that was not called against the Green Bay Packers. So I would figure that the Lions would want some sort of revenge against the Packers at that point. Now you got going into week 3, the Texans, bless their soul. Oh my gosh. Against the Carolina Panthers, bless their soul. Oh my gosh. That's going to be an exciting game. Hey, what you think is going to be the worst games end up being the most exciting games and entertaining games to watch. So the Texans, Panthers could be very entertaining. Then you've got the, the Cowboys and the Eagles playing on Monday Night Football. But then on Sunday Night Football, the 49ers, Trey Lance, supposedly is going to be starting. Maybe it's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo against the Green Bay Packers. This is going to be Rodgers. This is going to be Love. Then moving on to more primetime games, you got the Bengals and the Jaguars. Joe Burrow fully healthy against Trevor Lawrence in his primetime debut. The Patriots and the Buccaneers, this is what we've been recapping. This is what we've been waiting for. Tom Brady returning to New England to take on his former team that he played for 20 years on Sunday Night Football. Then Monday Night Football, the Raiders-Chargers AFC West matchup. Week 5, Seahawks-Rams. That's going to be a very good game. I think the Rams did very well against, Russell Wilson and that whole offense when he had his whole MVP campaign for a hot minute. But then you've got the Chiefs and the Bills Sunday Night Football. That's going to be a very good game. The Bills would like some revenge after losing out in the NFL playoffs. The Ravens and the Colts as well on Monday Night Football. Shaun Landry's surprise team, the Indianapolis Colts. Baltimore Ravens, coached very well every year by John Harbaugh. The Buccaneers and Eagles Thursday Night Football in Week 6. Then the Seahawks and the Steelers Sunday Night Football in Week 6 is going to be a good one as well. It's a Super Bowl 40 rematch right there. The Bills and Titans on Monday Night Football. Hopefully it's not going to be played on a Wednesday again, like it was last year, or maybe it was a Tuesday, something like that. I don't know. I remember I had that game on the iPad while watching an episode of The Bachelor with my hot brunette wife, and it was a blowout. It wasn't that entertaining, but the Bills really made some quick work with the Tennessee Titans. Week 7, Browns, Broncos, Thursday Night Football. And then Sunday Night Football, you got the 49ers again. They're playing their second primetime game on Sunday Night Football against the Indianapolis Colts this season, also playing their second primetime game at this point. Monday Night Football, the Seahawks versus the Saints. Ooh, that's going to be a good one. And then Week 8, Cardinals, Packers on Thursday Night Football. I'm just going to recap Sunday Night Football just to make it a little bit quicker for you guys. Vikings and Cowboys in the primetime game. Vikings could surprise a lot of people. A lot of people were saying. So be on the lookout for them against the Dallas Cowboys. And then Monday Night Football, the Chiefs versus the Giants. Giants could be on the up and coming as well if they get their offense put together like they addressed in free agency and the draft. Some good games right here from the looks of it on Week 9. A good NFC South matchup between the Falcons and the Saints. The Titans and the Rams. Sunday Night Football. Matthew Stafford against the Tennessee Titans. Mike Vrabel would like to have yet again another winning season and lead his team to the NFL playoffs. The Bears and the Steelers. At this point, listen, it is Week 9. Week 9, the Bears versus Steelers, Monday Night Football. Could this be the primetime debut of Justin Fields, or is it going to be still Andy Dalton? As a matter of fact, at that point, is it going to be Nick Foles that's going to be playing? Because if Dalton gets hurt, the Bears supposedly have Nick Foles as the backup quarterback. They wanted to get rid of him, but doesn't seem like they. No one wanted to really take on the contract, which, by the way, the Bears offered to pay a buttload of that $8 million that Nick Foles is making. Nobody wanted Foles. Then moving on to Week 10, Sunday Night Football. The Raiders versus the Chiefs. There was a Sunday Night Football matchup last year between these two. I guess they're redoing it just because the Raiders didn't have the opportunity to have fans in the stadium, so they really wanted to take advantage of that new stadium. And then Monday Night Football, again, the 49ers are just racking it in with those primetime games. The 49ers, Trey Lance, it could be at that point against the LA Rams. Then Thursday Night Football, ooh, this catches my attention because I am a Atlanta Falcons fan, and wow, what a rub in my face because the Falcons are facing the New England Patriots, 28-3. Yes, sir. Hopefully it happens again, but I hope the Patriots are up 28-3, and then we come back. Won't happen. Absolutely won't happen. We'll come back in the fourth quarter, and then we'll blow it in the fourth quarter. The Chargers with the Steelers, Justin Herbert, up and coming with their new head coach, Brandon Staley, I believe, coming over from the LA Rams to the LA Chargers, is going to face the Pittsburgh Steelers. Monday Night Football, the Bucks Giants. They had a primetime game, or Tom Brady had a primetime game against the Giants a couple years ago. That's right. Week 12, this is where it matters. Thanksgiving, ladies and gentlemen. The Lions versus the Bears, NFC North matchup. The Raiders versus the Cowboys, which they played on Thanksgiving a few years back, and they're playing again. At that time, Raiders quarterback Matt McGloin was in for the Raiders, and Tony Romo was still playing. And then the Bills and the Saints, the primetime Thanksgiving game. That's going to be a good one to watch on Thanksgiving. And then Sunday Night Football, the Browns, Ravens, they had a thriller. Probably the game of the year last year in that primetime game. Another primetime game comes up for the Browns and the Ravens, and then the Seahawks, Washington football team on Monday Night Football. Let's look at the Week 13 schedule. Yeah, we got the Cowboys and the Saints. That's going to be a good matchup right there. NFC West matchup Sunday Night Football, 49ers Seahawks. I don't know what it is with the 49ers in these primetime games, but oh man, okay. 49ers are getting some love, definitely. Maybe Kyle Shanahan could be on the up and coming. Oh, by the way, I got this notification popping up with back blaze. This pops up all the time. If you guys know how to fix this, please tell me how to fix it. But Monday Night Football, the Bills, Patriots. Week 14, Packers, Bears, NFC North. They had a Sunday Night Football matchup last year with little to no fans. So it looks like they want to redo that and have some fans in attendance for that. And then Kyler Murray and the Cardinals versus the Rams. Hey, by the way, the Rams are also getting in on those primetime games. What's up with the NFC West in the primetime games? But now you've got the time of the year, week 15, when you play some Saturday night football or Saturday and night football for the NFL season. And there's a lot of things that could happen. I don't believe all of these teams are going to be playing on Saturday. I feel like they only choose 2 or 3 games to be played on a Saturday, so they could be pushed back into the Sunday football schedule. But what we know is that Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints are going to be playing on Sunday Night Football. You remember last year what happened? The Saints dominated the Buccaneers on Sunday Night Football. I believe it was 38-3 was the final score. You know what? Funny story about that. I'm going to switch the camera back to me because this is a very sad story, and I want you guys to empathize with me. Speaking of that game on Sunday Night Football between the Buccaneers and the Saints, I don't know if you guys remember that one where the Saints were just dominating. Well, the Saints were up. I believe it was 31-3 in the fourth quarter. Okay, my opponent in fantasy football had Drew Brees, and he was going off. I was scared. I'll be honest. I needed him to get less than 23 fantasy points. 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. You're already up 31-3. You keep Drew Brees in the game. All I needed on the 3-yard line was for Taysom Hill to get a touchdown, Alvin Kamara, anything. Drew Brees scores a touchdown. I lost by 0.1 that week. Disappointing. Very disappointing. Back to the NFL schedule. What matters? The Bears and the Vikings, Monday Night Football, also played a primetime game last year. Then week 16, you would think this would be the second to last week of football, but it's not. You got the Titans and the 49ers on Thursday. Saturday, the Packers and the Browns, the Cardinals and the Colts. Hey, guess what? This is Christmas Day. They're going to have football on Christmas and keep their NFL players and coaches away from their families on Christmas. Hey, but when you're getting paid millions of dollars, I might do it. Cover your ears, Sarah. But the Cowboys and the Washington football team, NFC East matchup on Sunday Night Football. The Saints and the Dolphins on Monday night, week 17. Now, this is the second to last week. No Thursday Night Football, but there is going to be the Vikings and the Packers, or excuse me, no Thursday Night Football. There's going to be the Packers and the Vikings on Sunday Night Football, which is going to be awesome. And then Monday Night Football, the Steelers-Browns, that's going to be a good one as well. Ooh. And now we've got Sunday. This is week 18. So this is the new NFL week that they introduced. The Sunday Night Football game has not been decided because they like to wait for the crucial matchups. They're waiting for that win and go in, lose, and you're out of the playoffs. So they're waiting for that. Last year, it was the NFC East matchup that they did. This year, it could be another NFC East matchup because we know that Sunday Night Football loves to put NFC East matchups on their channel because they love to show the disappointment and how close and equally bad these teams are. It's just how it is. These teams are so close in making the playoffs every year, it could be a toss-up. And this year, maybe it's another NFC East matchup. We'll never know. But that is your NFL 2021 schedule for this season. Now it is to the fun part. By the way, before we get to the fun part, I'm going to comment on some people that are commenting right now. We've got Sean keeping up with us. Pretty cool. We've got Anthony saying, keep grinding. Listen, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Appreciate the love. But yeah, keep on interacting with us. We would love to chat with you guys. Sean says, given the schedule, Hassan, which rookie QB has the best chance to lead their team to the playoffs? Ooh. You're about to find out. Because right now, what we have is a 2021 schedule simulation. Now, this was made prior to the release of the schedule, of the times. Now, we know the opponents. We've known the opponents for months at this point, for years, as a matter of fact. So, what we did is we took each team and their success, how many games they won last season, okay? And then we factor in Pro Football Focus and their free agency grades for each team. We factored in Pro Football Focus and their draft grades for each team. So if a team improved overall in the offseason, that increased their chances of winning a given game. If they didn't improve this offseason, that decreased their chances given whichever game they're going to be playing and winning a game. So this was all put into a numeric value, a formula, and we put this all into an Excel sheet to simulate the NFL season to give you guys a concept and an idea of which teams are going to be making the postseason and which teams are not going to be making the NFL playoffs. We've got Chavez saying, thanks for all the guidance throughout the season. Helpful. How do you think Winston will do with the Saints? I think with the Saints offense that they have, you can plug and play almost any quarterback and you'll be fine. You just have to cater to what their strengths are. For instance, with Taysom Hill, he didn't pass the ball a lot. And whenever he did, he destroyed the Atlanta Falcons for some reason. Of course, it would be that one team. But Taysom Hill did really well. Teddy Bridgewater a couple years back did really well. So I think it's just Sean Payton and the Saints offense that does really well. Doesn't matter which quarterback at that point. And I think Jameis Winston, he's going to tone down on his turnovers just a bit. He's going to go from 30 interceptions down to 29. Just kidding. He might be much better than that. But Winston, I think, is going to have a lot of success with the Saints, and the Saints could be a winning team. I would doubt that the Saints would finish anything less than maybe 8-8. I can't see the Saints having less than an average season. As a matter of fact, I don't think Sean Payton could, at any point in his whole entire career with the Saints, has had a record less than 7-9. Someone fact check that for me, but I believe the worst that he's done is he's had a couple of 7-9 seasons, but that's it. So Sean Payton, I think, is going to find a way to win. So now, what do we have here? We've got the NFL schedule simulation, like I mentioned. And this is going to be lots of fun. So let me show you what I mean right here with the simulation. Okay, there's going to be a lot of colors. There's going to be a lot of team names. Don't get overwhelmed. All right. So let me show this to you guys. So what we did here, we took every NFL team, right? Let me sort this in alphabetical order. You see the 49ers, Bears, all the way down to the Washington football team. We took which teams they're going to be playing, all 17 teams that they're going to be playing, and then we simulated which team was going to win. And like I said, the way that we simulated this was that we took each NFL team and their wins last year and their free agency grades and their draft grades as well. We kind of put it into a formula and put them up against each matchup and saw what are the odds of each team winning. Now, before I get into this, full screen to me, before I get into this, don't get upset. Okay, this is just a very, very, very rough draft. This is all computer simulated. Okay, this is all based off of analytics. Okay, what this is missing is the human element to this. Okay, as far as we know, Patrick Mahomes might tear his ACL in week 1. The Chiefs could go 0-17. Okay, who knows? There could be Trevor Lawrence could find out that he broke his ACL or tore his ACL, and the Jaguars could go 0-17. He could go 0-17 with the Jaguars and him having a fine ACL. But, you know, there's a lot of things that can happen. We didn't want to factor in the human element into this. There's no way of doing that. So this is a very, very rough draft of what might happen this NFL season. So keep that in mind. This is not going to be 100% accurate. And if it is, I'm going to be very, very surprised. Okay? I'm going to laugh with you at this computer simulation because I'm like, this team missed the playoffs. This team made the playoffs. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but this is just based off of analytics. So let me go back to that schedule. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and read off not every NFL team, But you're going to see that the games that they're playing against, so for instance, the 49ers right here, you have them playing the Seattle Seahawks. That is highlighted green because both those games against the Seattle Seahawks, when we simulated it, supposedly the 49ers won both those games. The Seattle Seahawks had a higher chance of winning those games, but it was just the luck of the draw that the 49ers won those games. And it's all a luck of the draw because every NFL season, every given Sunday, as a matter of fact, the upset team could win. You never know. There's always going to be 2, 3, 4 upsets every week in the NFL, and that's why we love it. So the 49ers, that's going to be an upset right there. So there's a lot of that, okay? So, and a lot of division games as well were split. As you can tell, the Bengals upsetting the Steelers, but then also losing to the Steelers. There's a lot of division games that are tougher and closer in the NFL, so that's the reason behind that. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to read off every NFL game, okay? I'm not going to say who beat who. If you want to pause this at any point, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, go ahead, do it. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to sort this by their projected NFL record. Okay, so after simulating all of these games, who ended up with the best NFL record? And that is going to be the Arizona Cardinals ended up with the best NFL record, which is kind of strange. I mean, in my eyes, it is. But Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury, they've been doing a very good job, and they could end up being the best team. Now, the best record based off this computer simulation was just 12-5. You saw that the Indianapolis Colts, which Shaun mentioned as a surprise team, could be another team that could end up going 12-5. The Patriots as well, with all their offensive weapons. So, like I said, this takes into free agency and draft as well. And I believe that the Patriots got an A, according to Pro Football Focus, in the draft and an A in free agency as well. So that helped their chances of winning a lot of games. So I kind of put it side by side by their 2020 record and the difference of games that they're winning. So, for instance, the biggest jump would probably be the Atlanta Falcons. This is all computer simulated, unbiased. They're going 10-7 as opposed to 4-12 last season. And then the biggest drop off, I believe, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Believe it or not, I know. It's luck of the draw. Okay, I necessarily don't agree with it, but the Pittsburgh Steelers 6-11 according to this computer simulation. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of things could happen. The NFL, a lot of teams could be surprises, could be letdowns. It happens every single year. So, with all that said, what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to show you, as you guys are looking at the NFL records of each of these teams, I'm going to show you the NFL playoff picture based off of this computer simulation. So we go to the playoff picture, and what you have right here now is the NFC playoffs and the AFC playoffs. Starting off with the NFC playoffs, you've got the Arizona Cardinals being the number 1 seeded team. They got the first round bye by winning the NFC West. The Indianapolis Colts, on top of that, got a first round bye as well, winning the AFC South, both of them going 12-5. So let's just read off the playoff picture for the NFC conference first. The Buccaneers winning the South. Giants winning the East. They tied with the Dallas Cowboys, but I believe the Giants, they might have split in the simulation or something happened to where I think it was the Giants had a better division record. That's what it was. The only loss was against the Dallas Cowboys, so they would eventually be the NFC East winners. The Packers win in the NFC North, but look at the record right here, 9-8. And is that because of Aaron Rodgers that Pro Football Focus factored in the free agency game? Or is it because they just have a really, really tough schedule and the odds were up against them in winning these games? But nonetheless, they are NFC North champions and making it in as the number 4 seed. The Atlanta Falcons, a wild card team. The Cowboys, a wild card team. And the New Orleans Saints, a wild card team. So those are your top 7, since there are 7 seeds in the NFL. Now, barely missing it just by a game. You've got the Rams, the Vikings, the Seahawks, and the Washington Football Team. It was a 4-way tie at that point, but that's the order at that point. So it'd be surprising to see the Seahawks miss the playoffs. The Rams as well. I would have figured that they'd put a lot of effort into their offense, and for them to miss it would be surprising. But hey, maybe these teams just surprise us. For instance, the Atlanta Falcons could be that surprise team for the NFC playoffs. And then obviously you've got the 49ers, the Bears missing it 8 and 9. So to answer your question, I believe it was Rob who's a 49ers fan, or maybe it was Torre. It was Torre. He said that he was a 49ers fan, and here's your answer: 8 and 9, missing the playoffs. But hey, you win a couple more games, you have a chance of making it. It's very, very tight in the NFC playoff race. Eagles 7 and 10, the Lions 6 and 11 with Dan Campbell, and then the Panthers unfortunately go in 5 and 12. Big Trip's keeping it real. I just saw this comment is saying that the NFL is scripted and rigged. Well, listen, man, my whole life is a lie if that is true. But anyways, the AFC playoffs. Looking down the AFC side, this is where it's going to get a little bit surprising. You guys might laugh and dislike this video if you want. I don't care. The Colts got the first round bye with the South. The Patriots won the AFC East at a 12 and 5 record after simulating this. The Browns, AFC North champions over the Pittsburgh Steelers, 11 and 6. The Chargers over the Chiefs, with Justin Herbert in all of them, winning the AFC West at 11 and 6. Down below that, the 5th seed, wild card, the Chiefs still make it in. That's okay, but they're going to be missing out on that division title. That doesn't matter that much because they're going to be facing the Chargers in the playoff race. Then you got the Titans making the wild card spot at 9 and 8, and the Denver Broncos, the surprise team, is going to be making the wild card at the 7th seed. So, okay, let's talk about that. Why are the Denver Broncos in at the number 7 slot? Listen, that's because the grade that they got in free agency was an A+. The grade that they got in the draft, I think, was like an A- or A. So that helped out their stock. And they won 5 games last year. And with their free agency grade and their draft grade, that increased their chances of winning any NFL game that they have this season. So the Broncos could be a surprise team. Who knows? Anyways, the Broncos make it in. The Miami Dolphins barely missed out. Talking about the teams that missed it. Now, here we go. The Buffalo Bills, the 9th seed in the AFC playoff race. I don't necessarily agree with that, but when I simulated the games, if we want to go back to the Bills' schedule right here, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Where do we got the Bills? Right here. Okay. They lose to the Titans and upset loss to the Texans when I simulated it. Beat the Jaguars, obviously. The Steelers, they beat them. Washington football team, they lost to them. The Chiefs, they lost to them. So it's like some of them make sense, some of them don't. The Indianapolis Colts, they lost again, or they won against. The Saints, they beat. The Bucs, they lost against. The Falcons, they lost against. You know, you look at this schedule and it's like, okay, some of these games make a little bit of sense, some of these don't. But I believe when I was simulating these games, it was the Bills, the Browns, and the Chiefs. Those 3 teams had the highest probability of winning their games out of any NFL team. And it just so happened to be that the Bills got the short end of the stick. And even though they had one of the highest probabilities, they lost. But going back to the playoff picture, yeah, the Bills, they lose out on that opportunity to make the playoff race. The Bengals, the Ravens, Raiders, all in a 3-way tie to make it a 7 and 10. So they kind of improve with Joe Burrow. And the Cincinnati Bengals make it 7 and 10. The Ravens kind of fell off. I don't see John Harbaugh, just because he's such a good coach, getting this far or losing out to 7 and 10. But hey, it could happen. The Steelers, that's also another big one. Mike Tomlin, I just don't envision that happening. So the Bills, the Ravens, the Steelers are the questionable ones in the AFC playoff race. The Jets, the Texans, the Jaguars, you see 2 and 15 is the worst record in the NFL. That makes a little bit more sense. They need a lot of help on their roster. Now, here's the fun part. Let me full screen this. What we wanted to do with this was take every NFL playoff picture and simulate it if it were the NFL playoffs playing in January. So you're going to see some games being simulated, and we're going to give you an eventual Super Bowl winner. Rough draft, by the way, of who's going to win in 2021. Let's go back. Playoff simulation. That's right. Okay, let me explain this because this is kind of hard to read right here. But you've got your NFC East, or not NFC East, but NFC teams in general highlighted in blue. You've got your AFC teams highlighted in red. So what we did is we took their opponents and who there's going to be playing. So, for instance, the Buccaneers being the number 2 seed, we're going to be playing the New Orleans Saints, who are the number 7 team. So we put them against the Saints. The Saints beat the Buccaneers in our simulation. So we highlighted under the Buccaneers, we highlighted them red, and there's no advancement, as you can see, moving forward from that point. And the Buccaneers just stop right there, are eliminated in the wild card round. The Saints move on to the divisional. As you can see that the Buccaneers, their game is highlighted green. So with the NFC wild card race, just continuing on with that, you had the Giants and the Cowboys facing. The Giants ended up losing to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys ended up advancing. And then the Falcons and the Packers faced off in a wild card matchup, and the Packers won. So the Falcons' fairy tale NFC playoff appearance is over at that point. Going with the AFC, you've got the Colts getting the first round bye. So the Cardinals got the first round bye for the NFC, by the way, just to preface. The Colts got the first round bye. The Patriots and the Broncos faced off. All right. And the Patriots beat the Broncos. So the Broncos' fairy tale comes to an end against the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick and the Patriots move on to the divisional round. The Titans and the Browns faced off, and the Titans ended up beating the Browns. So the Titans move on. And then you had the Chiefs and the Chargers, AFC West matchup. Listen, the Chargers already got the upset and winning the division, and they're going to get the upset again and beating the Chiefs and moving on to the divisional round. So, divisional round, NFC. The Cardinals, number 1 seed, face the New Orleans Saints. When matched up against them, going through the computer, it ended up being the Cardinals that won, and the Saints were eliminated by the divisional round. Then with the Cowboys and the Packers, it ended up being that the Packers lost to the Cowboys, surprisingly, and the Cowboys advanced to the NFC Championship to face the Arizona Cardinals. Now for the AFC, we got the Titans and the Chargers, or the Colts, the number 1 seed, facing the Titans, who they ended up losing to, and the Titans will advance. Now the Chargers will face the Patriots, and the Chargers ended up winning that matchup, and the Patriots are eliminated. As you can see, it's highlighted red. So now the AFC Championship is going to be between the Titans and the Chargers. Now, let's go back to the NFC Championships. Your final 4 at this point: Cowboys, Cardinals, Titans, Chargers. Between the Cowboys and the Cardinals, you see it's highlighted green. The Cardinals ended up winning that matchup. Let me go ahead and bring that over so you guys can see that easier. The Cardinals ended up winning that matchup and advance to the Super Bowl. The Cowboys, as you can see, lost that matchup. AFC Championship, Titans and Chargers, Justin Herbert, Ryan Tannehill. The Titans ended up beating the Chargers and advancing to the Super Bowl. So now your Super Bowl that's going to be played in LA is going to be between the Titans and the Cardinals. NFC side, the Cardinals, AFC side, the Titans. And simulating that, your eventual Super Bowl winner, the Tennessee Titans. Hey, there's a lot of surprises in the simulation, but the Titans, if they ended up being the Cardinals, could be your Super Bowl champions according to this simulation. That kind of gives me hope because I picked up Madden again and I'm playing franchise mode and I'm taking over for the Tennessee Titans and trying to get to the Super Bowl. So if this is telling me anything, it means that my team is going to make the Super Bowl. But Mike Vrabel and Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry in that run game, that defense lost some good corners, but they made up for it in the NFL draft. They could be making some strides in going to the Super Bowl. So leave your thoughts, leave your comments down below. Let me know if you feel like that the Titans and the Cardinals facing against each other is a realistic matchup for this Super Bowl. Could happen. Very much could happen. But that is your schedule simulation for this 2021 NFL schedule release. And at any point, feel free to pause and you can read the projections or the playoff picture, et cetera, if you guys are watching this on YouTube. But that'll do it for this week's episode of Time2Football. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off just because we've been at it for a little over an hour at this point. So let me go ahead and take that off. But let me just say thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode. I know it's on a Wednesday. It's a little bit different than that Thursday football, but we're getting a lot of good feedback, a lot of good viewership. A lot of guys are joining in on the chat. So if you guys are watching this on YouTube, make sure you guys subscribe to this channel so you can stay up to date when we come out with a podcast every single week. And if you guys are listening to this on iTunes, be sure to subscribe to us, listen to us on the go, rate and review 5 stars, nothing less, and head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/time2football. Subscribe to us on there. Okay, enough with the plugs. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Let us know down below in the comments your NFL team. What do you feel like the NFL schedule is? Is it on your side? Is it against you? And what do you think about our schedule simulation on top of that as well? So we appreciate you guys joining us for this episode of Time2Football, and I'll see you next week. Take care.